Hello, welcome to another live session of building bots on the ubisend platform. As usual, I'm going to be hosting this lesson, or it's not really a lesson, I don't like to call them lessons. I like to see them as pretty much what it is, which is live streaming, and I basically do my work whilst I stream, which is pretty cool, to be honest. So what we've been building in the last this is session 4. So in the last 4 sessions, or last 3 sessions, sorry, and this one, what we've been building is a restaurant chatbot. We're building a demo bot, obviously, so this is going to be a bot that's not actually going to be released anywhere. This is just for kind of the purpose of these sessions and for the purpose of me having something to show to a potential client if they are if they end up being interested in the ubisend platform. I just received a message on, just 1 second, I'm just gonna turn that off, just to make sure that I'm not sharing any personal information. Okay, thanks, no problem. Alright, cool, so I just wanted to make sure that the chat window wasn't going to come up on the stream. Okay, so we've been building a demo restaurant bot for a fictitious Thai restaurant. So we've done quite a few things, and I'm going to quickly summarize them right now. So we have designed a bot, which is not great, but worth doing. We've created a welcome message, which is this kind of interaction that happens as soon as you open the bot. Very, very important. This thing allows you to do 2 things. It allows you to book a table or ask questions. If you click book a table, this takes you onto a little interaction, which is, I have specific requirements, or I'm ready to book. If you say I'm ready to book, what it basically does is we've implemented a bit of a widget, which is basically the open table widget, which is right here. So if I click this, I can basically go back and forth, and once I'm in here, I can go and make my reservation and etc. So this is quite cool because most restaurants, as far as I'm aware, do have an open table widget, or they use them for their website. So if you do use that for your website, or your clients use that for their website, this means that you don't necessarily have to do it again. Importantly, after I've done this live last time, I realized that it would be probably worth adding a bit of a tutorial on how to do that on our docs. So I've added this. So if you missed that lesson and you don't want to go through all of that, it looks complicated, but it really isn't. This is all kind of fleshed out here, and I'm gonna drop this link in the comment here, or in the chat. So if you want to go and have a look, just go and have a look at that. It's super simple. Cool. And then what else did we do? So we did that. If you have a very specific requirement for your table, you can go through a more in-depth kind of flow, where the bot will ask you what day you want to come in. So let's say the 15th. I'm gonna send that. Yeah, dietary requirements. So we created some nice little multi-selects here, which is quite nice. Any event that we're celebrating, let's say I'm celebrating my birthday. Any questions we have? Do you cater for children? I don't know. Something like that. So something that can be sent to the owner of the spot. And then what size of the party? We looked at composers quite a lot last session. So if you want to have a look at that again, very unique to the ubisend platform. I would say it's one of the kind of features that really makes us stand out in a way from other platforms. Is you can really have full control over what this little grey text here says on the screen, which is really important for UX, conversational UX, very, very important. Enter a phone number, alright. And then someone will be in touch. Alright, so we've done that. The one thing we haven't really done is we haven't created any FAQs on this bot. And I know that for some of you, you know what an FAQ looks like. We've gone through that quite a few times in our previous sessions. But I do think that to properly flesh out a chatbot, it does need to have FAQs. It's part of the chatbot's knowledge. It's part of what makes a chatbot, because those are the one-to-one, very quick answers, quick question, quick answer kind of thing that really save you a lot of time. So all of the stuff we've done so far in the last 3 sessions were process oriented. So things that people do that really require back and forth in a few ways, such as asking for their phone number and then asking for how many people they have, etc., etc. So those are conversational workflow automation, very important, and ubisend is specifically geared to do that. But another thing that chatbots do, and probably 50 or 60% of their job really, is to answer questions. And so what we've done once is we've actually created one FAQ here, which is, can I book a table? So if I go into the bot again and I say, can I book a table? You should see that it's going to answer this question. So absolutely you can. Please select the time and the day and the party size below. So if I click view, again, I'm going to see my little reservation widget, which is great. And this is what we call an FAQ. So what I want to do today is I want to flesh out more FAQs around this bot. And this will achieve two things. The first is we're going to teach our bot to handle a few more things than just the conversational workflow automation type stuff. And then the second thing is I want to tee ourselves for the next lesson when we're going to do a bit more content importing, file uploading, and all that sort of stuff, which are going to really bring these FAQs to life. But to be able to get there, we need to start from kind of this quote unquote basic but really important part of a bot. Just a final thing before we dive into this, what we found is in any kind of given business, about 40 to 60% of typical inquiries can be automated with a bot pretty much out of the gate. So if your business is a restaurant, an HR department, what else? A customer service kind of team for whatever type of products, all of the kind of repetitive questions that you get, which is usually that Pareto principle of 80-20, you can within 1 week of implementing automate about 40 to 60% of these queries, just like that. And so yeah, it's a very important part of the bot. So we're going to go ahead and create maybe 5-10 FAQs just to round this kind of topic of booking tables, coming to the restaurants, etc. So I think I'm going to kind of make those up as I go because I don't work in a restaurant. But I can imagine because I've been to the restaurant a few times in my days. So I know what I would want to know as a potential patron. So I guess the first one I want to do is kind of open hours. Like, when is this actually open? So when is the restaurant open? What time does the restaurant open? What are the times at which the restaurant is open? So what I'm doing here is I'm basically giving the FAQ a name, which is going to be quite helpful for me to find it again. I'm going to give the FAQ tag, and I've created the hours tag, and I'm not sure I like that, so I might just do open timetable. Maybe that works better. Okay, I'm changing this tag because I'm doing specifically this one about hours, but what we probably want to do as well is days, because obviously some restaurants are not open every single day. But the questions that I'm putting in here are basically three very specifically different ways of asking the same question. So when is the restaurant open? What time does the restaurant open? What are the times at which the restaurant is open? This one is kind of an interesting one because when could be both days and hours. So I might change this one to which hours are the restaurant open? Now this might not be very English, but you get the point that you can write a few different ways of asking the same question. So we can hit create on that, and we've just created a new FAQ. Now this is only part one. What we want to do is we want to create FAQs by creating first their questions, and then we obviously program the chatbot to by telling it what it should answer when it encounters these questions. So this is the one all about opening hours. So what I'm going to do is just a very simple kind of message. Our restaurant is open every weekday from. Oops. Sorry, someone just tried to call me. Every weekday from what time? From 6 p.m. until 11 p.m. Alright, cool. So I can save this. And now what we have is we have an FAQ that's fully fleshed. We have now 2 FAQs. We have open hours and table booking, with a nice example of the question and then a nice tag here. What's quite cool is we can obviously, the answer for this question is super simple because it's a very simple, text-based answer. You just have 6 p.m, 8 p.m, 11 p.m. every weekday. Very simple. What you can do is you can obviously play around with all of the message types here and do all sorts of different things. So what I could do is I could create another embed message here and just say, book a table, for instance, if you wanted to. So you can encourage the person who's asking this question to actually book a table as well. So I've just walked in. But we're not going to do that here. But we could do all sorts of things like images and videos and etc. All right, cool. So let's not save that. Let's just keep it as a simple question and simple standard message answer. All right, so that's one. What kind of other questions do people ask? So obviously, restaurants have the tendency of attracting kind of very various many people, potentially families, potentially parties, etc. So I want to do something around children. So do you cater for children or something like that? Children catering. Children. So yeah, I'm going to create a tag for children. I think that makes quite a lot of sense. So do you cater for children? Do you have a children's menu? Do you have food suitable for children? So again, we're really writing the same question in a slightly few different ways. What the platform is going to do is take these 3 ways and create a nice little model around them, and that will allow it to, obviously using ubisend's NLP, is going to allow the bot to not only understand when someone sends this very specific exact sentence in this very specific exact format, but also variant ways of, that's not necessarily, we haven't had to write all ourselves. It's just going to say, do you cater for children? Do you cater for children's? Do you have food for children's? All that sort of stuff. It's going to take these 3, create a model around them, expand and extrapolate around the format of these sentences to figure out which one of these things is really the important word out of all of this, which is probably children in this one because it's mentioned 3 times. And next time it sees something that's regarding children or something like that, or children menu, even though it's not necessarily an exact match with one of these 3 sentences, it's still going to know that this is an FAQ around that. So let's create that. What we might do here is once we have a bit of actually, let me see. Let's see. I'm just trying to find a cool picture for this because that might be helpful. Let's see this. So I'm just going to use that for now. All right, so what I can do is I can say absolutely. So I'm going to use a general message here, and general messages are basically a nice little way of displaying an image, displaying some text, and then displaying a bit more kind of content around that image. I tried to add the image, but maybe it's slightly too big. No, it's not. Okay, so I've just added this image now, and obviously this is going to be quite nice for the person asking this question to see not only that yes, we do cater for children, but also we allow we allow the user to actually see the menu straight from there. So the link, I'm just going to say that I'm just going to send this to Google or something like that for now, and then the title is I don't really know what to write. I was going to say welcome children, but that sounds a bit odd. Welcome to our children's menu or something like that. Read our children's menu. Okay. I forgot what we called this company. What do we call it? Something like Kolanta. Trying to see Kolanta. What's that? Kolanta flavors. All right. All right. Let's go. Kolanta flavors. process, cater for all, including little ones. Read the menu, read the children's menu below. Alright, so what I can do is I can add this image, which is quite cool. I can add a nice little bolded kind of headline, which is good because that kind of grabs the attention. And then I can add a little bit more of information in this subtitle. Now, more importantly, I can add actual buttons below that. So for now, because I said that I'm just setting this up for next week, I'm just going to add a link. Read the menu. And I'm going to add obviously a fake link because this company doesn't exist, and then that's it. But what I'm going to do probably next week is add a file to this where we're going to add actually the menu so people can actually grab it. Okay, so that's FAQ number 2. So we're starting to have a bit of a knowledge base in here. Okay, what else? This is a Thai restaurant. Thai food has a tendency of being a bit spicy. So I'm going to ask the silly question that people like me ask, which is spicy. Spices. And I'm going to ask, how spicy is your food? Is your food really spicy? Will your food be too spicy for me? Again, 3 questions, same topic. As you can see, we have 3 words here, or 1 word that comes back 3 times, which is really kind of this indicator for the NLP to kind of say, all right, that's probably the key word out of these 3 things. And so when someone's asked a slightly different version of this question, but it does include the word spicy and maybe the word food next to it, it's going to realize, this is probably what I should be answering based on what I've learned or based on what I've been taught. So our menu includes dishes suitable for all what spice endurance levels, I don't know, something like that, levels. Please follow the little what are they called, pepper indicators on our menu. 1 pepper equal not spicy, 3 peppers equal very spicy. Alright, so that's helpful. We can save that as well. Okay, so that's another FAQ. What else can we ask? What else do we usually ask to a restaurant? So obviously what we want this chatbot to do is answer questions around all these sort of things like opening hours, children, spicy food, etc. But really the ultimate thing is booking tables. So what I'm trying to think is there a way that I can formulate some questions or program my chatbot to answer questions around topics that will eventually encourage the person to book a table. So a good example of this is parties. So parties, do you cater for parties? Can I organize a party in your restaurant? Do you have space for a party? So this is good because this is a question that presumably comes up quite a lot, I would assume, but more importantly, this is a question that will allow me to actually use this kind of table booking or at least inquiry booking thing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use an action message. Action messages are different from the standard messages in that they do have this text that we can use, but they do have these 4 buttons that we just looked at earlier. And this allows me to basically connect the answer to this question to other things that I have programmed into my bot. And so in this instance, what we do have is, well, let's say that obviously we do, so Koh-Lanta flavors our restaurant is suitable for parties up to 24, up to 24, I guess is fine. Please inquire below to get a quote and book your All right, so what I can do here is I can have a little bit of text, which is good. Sorry, it sounds like my mic has gone a bit quiet. I'm just going to move it a little bit, maybe because I was slouching. Let me know, Jacob, if this is better. So what I can do is I can use the buttons below. So we have postback, URL, file, and mail to. So obviously the URL is just sending someone to a website, pretty simple. File is just sending a file to the user, pretty simple. Mail to is just triggering an email to a very specific email address. The interesting one that we have here is the postback. And postback is basically a way for me to say, when you click this button, you're going to trigger something else that I've programmed into the bot, typically a conversation. So if you remember, we built last week a conversation, we just went through it. So we built a conversation where you can actually book a table and just send people through that. So what I would do is I would most likely create a trigger here that is, equals party booking. All right, so what did I do here? There's really two ways that we could do this. The first is we could simply just create a brand new conversation here that's related to party booking. So if you want to book a party, you have to actually talk to us. We have very specific questions because if it's a stag do, for instance, maybe we don't want that kind of parties in our establishment. But if it's a birthday party, that's fine. So what you might want to do is you might want to create a completely different conversation here for this specific question, and you can absolutely link that back by saying inquire now, and then just create a post back which would be party booking, something like that. And so when someone clicks this button inside the bot, what it's going to do is what they see is inquire now, but what it does is actually sending this little keyword in the background of the bot, and you can use this keyword as a way to trigger a very specific conversation. So in here you could create a brand new conversation that is only triggered when a message is sent that is equal to whatever that was, so party booking. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is, if you wanted to, you could use what we call conversation trigger, step triggers, which is basically a way for you to create a way to jump into an existing conversation at a very specific part of the conversation. So here, this specific conversation starts when someone sends book a table, and you go at the top and you start working your way down the conversation. But you don't really want to send someone from the party inquiry to this first step, because you already know that they have very specific requirements. You don't want them to say I'm ready to book because you actually want to speak to them. So what you could do is you could send them straight here by using a step trigger. So this means a trigger that is going to trigger a trigger that is going to send the user straight to this very specific step. So we're going to do that. So I've created one here, which is if someone sends a message that is equal to party_booking, which I think is what we just created here. Yes, we're going to send people straight into this very specific step. The reason for doing this is that it allows you not to duplicate your work if you don't want to. If it's very, very similar to what you already have, you don't want to end up having 5, 6, 10 conversations that look exactly the same, just for kind of slightly different things. So this is a way to do it, and I think this is a really good way of doing it. And again, we've kind of encouraged the user to inquire with us, potentially book a table for a larger number of people, which is great for the revenue and for the restaurant. Okay, so that's one. What else could we think of to encourage people to book tables? I think things around specific holidays and things like that can always be good. So Christmas, opening Christmas. I'm just going to do Christmas. So holidays. So I'm going to create a holiday tag so that I can reuse that for Easter, St. Valentine's, etc., etc. So are you open on Christmas? Can I book a table for Christmas? Is the restaurant open on Christmas? Okay, so again, this is a really good question to ask to, you know, get people to actually book tables. So what we're probably going to do here is an embed message, which if you remember, if you haven't followed last week's episode, just go back and watch it, or just go through the kind of the steps here. But what we've basically done is we're creating a message that has a bit of text and then a nice big button that allows you to embed anything that's kind of external from the bot, to prevent the user from having to jump into another website or jump into another booking system. So in this instance, we're going to say, there we go. Our restaurant is open and accepting reservations for Christmas, for the upcoming Christmas. I can't type, sorry. Click below to book your table. Okay, and so in here, book a table. So we don't really see this text here, but I'll show you what it looks like. And then in here, I'm going to put a random piece of text, a random link here for now, because I need to go and find that link into the other FAQ. Okay, so that didn't allow me to. Ah, yes. It's because I'm not formatting this properly. Okay, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to go and find my table booking one, see the answer, so I can copy the little widget thing, and I'm going to add this one into the Christmas booking. Okay, saving that, perfect. So another one where we kind of encourage the user to send us some stuff. Now, one thing I want to go for and show you how this works is I'm going to create another FAQ around a holiday just for kind of a random purpose. Doesn't really matter this one. I'm going to do St. Valentine's, and I'm going to reuse the holidays one, and can I book a table for St. Valentine? No, I'm going to do you have a St. Valentine's menu? Do you organize anything special for St. Valentine's? I'm going to do one with an apostrophe, and then can I book a special menu for St. Valentine's? Alright, so the reason for this FAQ is kind of random. We don't really care about this one. All I want to show you is how you can kind of play around with this little thing here on the right. So I'm going to answer this question once. So let's say we organize every year at St. Valentine's, on St. Valentine's Day, we organize a very special lovebird menu. Click below to view this year's menu and book a table. Alright, so what I can do here is I can save this, and now we have this kind of question answered the way that we've been doing it for the last 20 minutes or so. So really simple. The thing I want to show you is how you can actually add more answers to this. So here we have a very kind of standard answer to this message, and it's absolutely fine, and it's a great answer. But what you can do is actually provide more variants of the same answer, in the kind of the same way that you can provide more variants of the questions. You can actually write more copy for the answer, so that if someone keeps asking the same question, which may or may not be the case about St. Valentine's Day booking, but you can actually have your bot provide kind of slightly different answers. And so what I'm going to say is looking for a romantic St. V's dinner, we're ready for you. Click below to read our very special menu. Something like that. And what I can do here is I can see there's a little flick here that I have, which is called random responses. And basically what this says is, if this is off, the bot is going to send these two messages one after the other. So it could say, it's going to say every year on St. Valentine's, blah, 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 and then half a second later, it's going to send a second message. Obviously, this isn't what we want. What we want is only one message to be sent. So we want them to randomize these responses. So but what it's going to do is whenever the bot is faced with this question about St. Valentine's Day menus, it's going to go and figure out what it is it should respond, and it's going to pick one of these two answers. So again, this is really cool because it allows you to really create a bit more diversity within your bot, so that your bot doesn't necessarily just answer the same old thing every day, all day, every day. So this is quite cool. Another way to use this, and I'm actually going to create this because it's worth talking about, is using it as Smalltalk. So Smalltalk is actually built as part of the platform. It's built in here. So as you can see, I just switched to Smalltalk. Currently mine is turned off, which means that if I go and say, hello, it's just going to say, I'm not sure what you're talking about. There you go. I don't have a response for that. So my Smalltalk is turned off. Most of the time, Smalltalk is going to be turned off. By default, within the ubisend platform, Smalltalk is always turned off for a very good reason, which is people don't really say hello anymore to bots. They don't really ask a bot, what's the weather like in, New Zealand or whatever. They used to a while back, maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, they used to do that, and it used to be quite impressive when a bot could figure out that you just said, how are you? And it was going to send you a nice little funny message, and, everyone laughed, and it was amazing. But the industry has changed quite a lot since then, and nowadays people know exactly what a chatbot is. They're not very impressed by a chatbot that says hello back or that says how are you. What they want is they want to come into this bot and ask their questions around the opening hours and all this sort of stuff that they really want the answers about. They don't want to go and have a friendly chat with the bot. So this is why it's kind of turned off by default. Now I could go and change the settings to enable Smalltalk, and all of a sudden Smalltalk would be thrown into my bot with all of these pre-built all of these pre-built answers. So if I go back now and I say hello, it should just send me a little hello, unless I need to train it. No, I do not. So now hello is working. The problem with this is that if we say, how are you? Or all good mind, what job do you do? I don't know if it's going to have something about that. It doesn't have anything about that. So you're a bad bot. Does it have anything about that? No, you're bad. Sorry to hear that. So, all right. So basically what I'm saying is, with Smalltalk, if you go and have a look at the Smalltalk that we have here, we have about 7 pages of about 15 different kind of things that the bot can talk about as soon as you turn on Smalltalk, which can be annoying because let's say something like, can you help? I need help, etc., etc. What you might want to have is very, very specific answers that you programmed your bot to say about this. Now you could go in here and you could go and manage the responses, tweak all of these one by one, and really work your way through all of these 7 pages of 15-page each intents and utterances that the Smalltalk has by default. But this might be quite a big kind of job to do, particularly if you want a really, really straightforward bot that doesn't really need a lot of personality. If you're building, if you're turning a mascot for a big brand, something that everyone knows, if you're creating a Santa Claus bot, for instance, you would want that bot to have loads of small talk because you would want it to be quite friendly, you'd want it to have a lot of personality. But if you're creating a restaurant bot, you're not necessarily wanting your bot to be able to answer, are we friends? Because who cares, right? So you don't want to work your way through 7 pages of these just for a few things. So what I suggest doing instead for this kind of bot is actually to disable small talk, so leave it disabled as it was by default. And then within the FAQs, you can create the ones that you really care about. So the ones that we really care about are, unfortunately, hello. So some people still say that for 2 reasons. The first is people do tend to just type that by default. It's kind of automatic. They just do it. And then the second is typically when someone lands on your bot. Sorry, not this. When someone lands on your bot, it may not be super obvious, depending on your copy, that this is a bot, which is an issue. So what I've done here is I programmed the bot to say welcome to our chatbot, so everyone knows this is a bot. But some people don't do that. Some people write, I can help you with this, or welcome, I'm Sarah, or something like that. and they just think they're being quite clever with a name that sounds like a human name but actually means something else, etc., etc. And so all this to say that a lot of people will say, hello, can I book a table? You know, they'll start by saying hello just because it's kind of the polite thing to do, or they just haven't realized yet that this is a bot, but by message to they'll have realized it. So either way, all of that to say that it's always worth creating, if you're going to turn off small talk, it's always worth creating a small talk question for hello and one for thank you, because again, people are very polite. They say hello and they say thank you, even if they know it's a bot. Trust me, I've seen that a lot. So I'm going to create one that's called hello. I'm going to tag this as small talk, and I'm going to say hello, hi there. All right. And I'm going to answer this. And importantly, I'm not going to just say hello. I'm not just going to say, you know, hello like that, because that'd be a bit annoying, because that's not really encouraging the user to move on to something a bit more valuable in the conversation. Instead, what I'm going to say is, hi there, I'm the Restaurant Chatbot, and I'm going to add a new message, and I'm going to say I can help you book a table or tell you more about our menu. Okay, so now I've done a few things. So I've obviously said hi back, which is a kind of general politeness. I've centered the conversation around the fact that I'm a chatbot, without really insulting the user by saying, by the way, I'm just a chatbot, why are you saying hello to me? So I've kind of reaffirmed that. And then third, I'm actually sending a message that realigns the conversation back to something that I know the bot can talk about, I know the user is going to be interested in, and it's actually kind of business critical for me. So in this instance, we're not going to turn the random responses on, because we really want these two messages to be sent one after the other. So I'm going to save that. Cool. Let's do one last one, and then we'll wrap up on this. So we're going to do the thank you one, just because I think it's always quite nice to have that. Same thing, I'm going to call this small talk. Thank you, thanks, thanks. All right, and then for the answer, I'm going to say, no problem, here to help. Let me feel free to ask more questions. Okay, so what have we done? I think this is a good kind of place to start wrapping things up. We've created a bunch of FAQs. We have, I'm just going to hit this string thing for a second. I'll get back to that in a second. So we've created a bunch of FAQs, well, by a bunch I mean 8 or so, which really will start to increase my chatbot's knowledge about the stuff that I want my chatbot to be able to answer. So all the stuff around booking table, being able to cater for children, things that basically restaurants I would assume get asked all the time. Some questions are more kind of one and done kind of questions. So do you cater for children? Yes. Okay, cool. But then some questions might induce more actual inquiries, real things, real active actions from the user to book a table or anything else. So you can really drive this kind of business impact as well. So do you have St. Valentine's menu? So this is important, because if you say yes, then you can actually provide a thing for the user to actually book a table on that day. And then, you know, we created all of these FAQs. We kind of went through the whole small talk spiel that I usually do, and we ended up creating our own small talk, which I think is kind of a better way to do it if you're not going to have a very, very expressive and kind of what would you say, a very branded kind of bot. It's best to just have a few FAQs turned small talk like we've just done now. The kind of final thing I want to go through is, so do you have a St. Valentine's menu? So this is good because it's July now, and obviously next February, presumably my restaurant has loads of openings still. So I can provide an answer that is like, book a table for the next one, providing a link, providing that widget again, whatever it is that we want. But then eventually, come mid-January, what I might have to do or tell my staff to do is, actually we don't have any more availability, so you need to go and have a change about that. And so what's important within the ubisend platform is that you can obviously prepare everything and create all of your content, we can as easily go and edit it. So if I go into the answers here, and it's now January the 20th, and I'm like, actually, unfortunately, we are fully booked for this year. And then I can save that, and then I'm going to save the other one. We are here we go. Save those, and now all of a sudden I've just updated my FAQ without skipping a beat. My chatbot is now switching from the previous answers to these answers without having to be reprogrammed or retrained or anything like that. It's just completely changed automatically, and I can just manage all of the content like that really simply with this kind of WYSIWYG approach of just clicking a button, editing with my little keyboard, and everything is perfect and nice. Now the thing I did earlier was training. So what I've done is I started training the bot, and it looks like it's taking a little bit more time than usual, probably because I'm training another couple of bots at the same time on the same install. But either way, what it's going to do is it's going to basically start teaching my bot about all of the things that I've just programmed it to do. And so next time that we meet, because I'm not going to touch this bot again for another week as usual. So next time we meet, I can go through the FAQs together, or we can go through the FAQs together, show you how it all looks like in the bot, make sure everything's working properly on the various channels that we might want to use, and then we can start working on the content imports and things like that. All right, cool. So thank you all for attending. I hope that was all right. I know that this is a fairly simple kind of lesson if you've attended these sessions before, but it is really crucial to teach your bot how to speak and how to kind of answer those kind of mission critical questions, because that's what they're really there for, at least 50 to 60% of the time. So next week we're going to do content import through knowledge bases, so that's going to be quite fun. And then we're going to do file imports and file sending with things like sending a PDF menu, etc., etc. So it's going to be quite cool. And I think this next week is going to kind of wrap up this bot. So stay tuned, and I'll see you next week, 1 o'clock UK time every Tuesday. I'm here to build bots. All right, cool. I'll see you all next week.